Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name is Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Thanks for the feedback last week about on this side, the reflection. Um, Everyone said that the reflection was okay, but the fan was a bit annoying. And I forgot what I was going to do was actually switch these two over because this one over here doesn't have glass, so there won't be a reflection. So I sat down and was like, oh, I'm going to have to turn the fan off. So the fan is off while I'm doing my recording today. So hopefully that's much better. We have had a little bit of rain, nowhere near what the predictions were. In fact, the day where it was supposed to be like 30 or 50 mil or something, we only got 0.8 of a mill. So we are definitely in a little dry area here where we could see the storm clouds and everything, and we got lightning and thunder. We just didn't get a whole ton of rain. We've had it a couple of nights now since that was predicted, and that's been okay. But definitely still a long way to go. Although in the sheep paddock, I've noticed this over these last few days since we've had the rain, there's a little tinge of green again. So that's a good sign that things are turning autumnal a little bit. I got another batch of blackberry spraying done with my mum this past week. We did a section by the road in our bush area that is the boundary with the next property. And all the way along the road there was quite a bit of blackberry. And we've been working on it over the years, and we've been able to get it smaller to the point where there are now spots where we can get out and spray it from the other side and really get into those last clumps. So we did that, which is really good. So hopefully that will clear that area out, and then we can look at re-establishing a proper fence line through there because it's sort of got a bit overtaken by all of the blackberry. There's always more that we could do, but the spray rig is being passed along to the next person. So everything will be put on hold until next summer, most likely, unless we can get it back later in March if it is still dry enough to do some spraying. The big area we need to focus on is on the hill in our bush. We have done quite a bit of it to a point down the hill, and we've done quite a bit of it to the point up the hill, and there's now this sort of section through the middle that still needs some work. Everywhere else seems to be now at a good management point, and as long as we continue to do it year on year, we shouldn't have those really big walls of blackberries anymore. The problem is that when you don't have those really big walls of blackberries, it's much harder to spray because you're stopping and starting and you have to move around quite a lot, and you're having to walk long distances from the spray unit to get into those areas where the actual blackberries are. So it's a much longer job to get one tank of spray done, as opposed to when we were literally just standing, just spraying a whole wall. A project that we tackled this past week was actually creating our own spray unit. Well, kind of a spray unit and kind of a way that we're able to move water from one place to another. So Adam purchased a pump, and we are using an IBC tank, which is one of those clear plastic tanks inside the metal cages. And we've put it onto the back of a trailer on a pallet. So we are able to move it in and out of the trailer if we need to. And we have hooked up the pump to the tank with a fire hose and with an inlet and outlet hose and a return, so you can actually just pump water out of it and have the water that's in the IBC continue to keep the pump primed. Or you can use it to pump water out of somewhere. So say, for example, when it's in the middle of winter but it's dry, but our dams are full, we could pump water from the dam and then use that to use for animal water, for example. So we're thinking about movability of water and being able to at least water plants and to take care of animals with water. And it could also be used as a firefighting device and as a blackberry spray unit as well. We just have to flush out the poison to make sure that we were having a fresh pump system through it. We could also potentially set up a whole fresh IBC and just unconnect the pump and put the fresh IBC on there. So that's been a bit of fun to play around with that and get that all working. First, being able to see how much it took to get it to draw water up and to spray water back out again, and then to be able to collect some actually into the tank. And yeah, trial and error in terms of setting up where all of the different bits went. So we now have that set up and ready to go. So it is now March, and at the end of this month will be my first market. So I really do have to start getting my act into gear. And so this past week, I have started dyeing some new colorways on my new yarn base. So that is the 8-ply brushed merino. I'm going to be calling the yarn base Aura. And I've come up with a selection of color names and like obviously color concept ideas that I'm going to dye up on this base. One of them is mushroom, which I'll show you in my projects shortly. And I've done 2 more colors, and then that's sort of going to fill out a rainbow of colors that I'm just at this point going to be dyeing up only on the Aura base. So something a little bit outside of my normal colorway is this very, very bright beauty. And it is that bright. It's slightly wet, so it's a bit difficult to hold for too long. I don't want to felt it or anything, but I'm calling this Buttercup. So it's an extremely bright yellow, but it does have sections of white through it, and I've done that intentionally because I don't want it to be a solid color. So when you knit it up or crochet it up, there'll be sections of a lighter yellow or of a white as you go through. So Buttercup, back to being a normal color now. And the other one I've dyed up, I'm calling Lichen. So it is a variegated green with some dark green, some light bright green, and there's sort of a more dirty dirty green. That sort of, I'm trying to find a spot that shows all 3 of them together. Yeah, no, here maybe. So you've got the dark green, some sort of white and really light green, and over this side is sort of more of a dirty green. So again, that will dye up with little lips of the color through as you knit, and as well as some really light sections as well. So that is Lichen. So that's 2 colors down, and I'll have batches of those at my first market. And so now I need to work on the other colors. Some of the other color names that I am going to be using for these are Night Sky, Fireside, and I don't remember the rest. I've got it all written down on a nice little spreadsheet. So I'm excited about these new colors, and I'm excited to start dyeing some other new colors and be bringing those to you very shortly in person as well. I decided not to wear any hand knits today, so straight into my works in progress. First to the gloves that I'm making for my mum out of the very classic gloves pattern by Pearl Soho. I showed last week where I was up to with glove number 1, and that is still on hold. I'm making this out of my own yarn. This is my lattice sock base in the olive colorway. And I literally just cast on for the start of the second one for the ribbing. I think I'm about to go into the, oh no, I'm not even close to going into the first stripe yet. And I've been doing an Italian cast on for this, so it's like a nice beautiful rolled edge. And but I started that, and then I got really, really distracted on my next project, which is a crochet project. I was sitting looking at my stash, and I saw the balls of yarn that I had made the jumper for my sister out of. That it's a Spotlight acrylic yarn. It's Valley yarns, and this is the LaTrobe Colourway. And I had like 2.5 balls left, and I'm like, what am I going to do with these? I'm not going to make another jumper with them, and it's not really enough to make a jumper anyway. And I my other project, the Avena, I really enjoyed doing the squares for. So I'm like, well, maybe I just do some really basic granny squares, just to do something a little bit different and to see how this yarn works up that in that project instead of how it worked up as a flat knitted piece. So I grabbed the first ball of the yarn and I made one, which turned into two, which turned into this whole pile. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm on my 8th now, and I've just wound up the second ball to be able to do more. So I'm really pleased with how they've turned out. They all look really different. I'm just going to quickly show you the difference between them all. And this one. So they are 9 rounds, and I'm turning it after each round. So hopefully they are nice and square. I honestly don't have a plan though for what I'm going to do with them and how I'm going to connect them and what yarn I'm going to use to connect them with. So even though I've started by using stash yarn, there is a very high possibility that I will end up going to Spotlight and either buying more of this or more of something else to go with this project to probably make it into a blanket. I have noticed that Quinn, especially my cat, really loves kneading into this yarn. He really loves kneading into my Avena as well, and I think it. I don't know if it's maybe the crochet. I'm not sure. So maybe I just make this into a cat blanket. Once I've done as many squares as I can get with what I have, I will see how big it's going to end up, and then I can make a decision about whether I continue on or whether I call it quits where I am. It'll be actually really good to get all of this out of stash. So yeah, I have clearly been quite obsessed with that this week. And I've already spoken a couple of times about my Avena, and I have worked quite a bit on this as well this week. And I've been making some really good progress, although I feel like I'm at like the longest, most amount of stitches on the needle right now. So each row is taking quite a while. So as I said, I'm using my mushroom color in my new yarn base that I'm calling Aura, and it is a brushed merino. And it is now all joined into one piece. So I have all of the crochet squares, I have the ribbing, I've finished both of the sleeves and they're now connected. And I have started, and you can see here, I've started on the raglan decreases and they're coming out really neat there. So I picked up along that crochet edge and made sure this time when I picked it up that I actually left the outside of the chain showing. It's actually really hard to properly show you because it's kind of, it's quite bunched up on the needles because of the way the shoulders are. So this is how it kind of sits really. Hang on. That's like a one side. So I'm excited to keep working on that. It's going to be less and less stitches as I go, so it should get quicker. And then I've got the big job of picking up the whole button band and knitting that on. So I am making some progress. Part of my big push is that I really want to get this finished and put on to my mannequin so that I have it to show at markets in relation to the new yarn, how it knits and crochets up, how it feels, and to give a really good impression of what it looks like and feels like. So I'm really excited about it. I thought it was going to be really long, but I actually feel like it's going to be a little cropped, which is fine. It's super cute. Again, not knowing this construction, I'm still not 100% sure that the arms are going to fit me, but it will fit her and it will be a really good example of the yarn. But it would be a great one to wear during winter, given this really snugly brushed merino is going to be super, super warm. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.